Okay, it's 12:05, so let's get started. Um, so I'm Carolyn Vermont. I'm the CEO for Habitat for Humanity of Coastal Fairfield County, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. A little housekeeping. Please keep your camera on if you can. I know some of you are on your lunch break, or for other reasons just cannot be on camera. But if you can, please do so. Also, during the presentation, if you have questions, please use the chat feature. And what will happen at the end of the presentation by Dr. Miller, I will share her questions with you, and so she'll have an opportunity to respond. So, to tell you a little bit about Habitat for Humanity, we seek to build community and improve lives by partnering with low-income families, community volunteers, and donors to build decent and affordable homes in stable and welcoming neighborhoods. Habitat for Humanity we're a nonprofit organization, and we build communities and improve lives by eliminating substandard housing and creating affordable home ownership possibilities by partnering with families right here in Fairfield County. We have a well-earned reputation for success in transforming properties into homes for tax-paying, contributing community members throughout the region. Since 1985, which is the year we started, we have built or rehabbed 291 homes. So we're almost at the 300 mark. And we've helped over 1,200 family members right here in Fairfield County. So we're also big on DEI here at Habitat. We welcome and commit to increasing the diversity of our staff, homeowners, volunteers, and donors in all its form, including race and ethnicity, gender and gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, language, culture, national origin, religion, age, disability status, and political perspective. We recognize that a diverse workplace strengthens our organization as it broadens our perspective and allows us to leverage the collective strength of all people. We commit to advocating for fair and affordable housing for everyone in our community, especially those experiencing discrimination. We commit to strive towards equal and just access to home ownership. We will work actively to challenge and respond to bias, harassment, and discrimination. We are committed to a policy of equal opportunity for all persons and do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, age, marital status, sex, sexual orientation, gender and gender identity, disability, religion, or veteran status. We seek to create an environment where all voices are heard, differences are welcome, and each person feels a sense of inclusion and belonging. Together, we can accomplish our mission of building community and changing lives. So I am so happy that y'all are here today. It's Women's History Month. And so it is a time to recognize the contributions and achievements of women throughout history, emphasizing the importance of equality and diversity. So speaking about equality, diversity, and recognizing women, I would like to share a little bit about our speaker today. Dr. Nicole Miller is a passionate educator, DEIB champion, and workforce development leader who believes in the transformative power of education to create equitable opportunities. With over 25 years of experience, she has dedicated her career to breaking barriers, fostering inclusive learning environments, and building pathways that connect education with real-world career success. Her journey in education began at a small independent school in Hartford, Connecticut, where she quickly recognized the profound impact of representation and inclusion in shaping students' futures. As Director of Diversity, she not only cultivated spaces for meaningful dialogue, but also developed the elective English course, The Other Literature, which explored works written by women about women. This course engaged students in courageous conversations on diversity, equity, and systemic inequities, sparking deeper engagement among students, faculty, and staff. Recognized for her ability to inspire dialogue and action, Dr. Miller transitioned to Goodwin University, where she designed students' leadership and career development programs that empowered students, particularly women and underrepresented communities, to confidently enter industries such as healthcare and manufacturing. A lifelong learner, Dr. Miller pursued her bachelor's degree in women's study at the University of Hartford, Hartford College for Women, while balancing a career and family. Witnessing the impact of Goodwin University's mission, she pursued a master's degree in higher education administration at Northeastern University to better support adult learners and career changers. Most recently, she earned her doctorate in education from Northeastern University, where she and her research team developed a rubric to assess higher education curricula, ensuring that college graduates are equipped to thrive in a 21st century workplace. Beyond her professional career, Dr. Miller is deeply committed to service. She proudly serves on several boards across Connecticut, including Connecticut Against Gun Violence, which I'm happy to serve on that board with her, and also Compass Youth Collaborative, Built with Our Hands, and Leadership Greater Hartford. She is also a devoted mother of two, an active member of Crossroads Church in East Hartford, where she shares her gift of song in the church choir. As a visionary leader, Dr. Nicole Miller is shaping a future where education is not just a means to an end, but a transformative journey towards equity, opportunity, and sustainability. Her work continues to inspire and uplift individuals and communities, creating pathways for empowerment and lasting change. So you've heard so much about this awesome and incredible speaker for today. So let's all welcome Dr. Miller. You are welcome.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm so excited to be able to be here today. And, Carolyn, I'm going to give you a shout out in my speech. I don't want to get too much into it, but it was hard for me to hear all of that, and incredibly humbling. So thank you again for that. I'm going to share screen real quick, and then we're going to get started. Let me do this, and then we're going to put this into presenter mode so you all can see everything. What are you guys seeing? Because I can't see anything.
Canva.
You guys are seeing Canva? Okay,
Yeah.
So we're going to do this. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can get the right view up. Okay, so we have that. And then we are going to do this. Okay, there we go. There we go. You guys can see the title slide?
No, still Canva.
Yep. It says Canva?
Nope, now we're good.
Now you're good.
Title slide.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, you and I are like on the same level when it comes to technology, but
I'm telling you, it's like you got to click around like 3-4 different times, right?
Yes.
Well, good morning. I'm sorry, good afternoon, everyone. It is afternoon. So Before we dive into our conversation today, I must first give thanks to God, who has guided my journey and who has brought me here today to share my story. My hope is that my experiences offer you insight, inspiration, and actionable steps that you can apply to your own life, incorporate into your leadership journey, and then share with others. Secondly, I have to extend my deepest gratitude to Carolyn Vermont, the esteemed CEO of Habitat for Humanity. As she mentioned, our paths crossed working together as board members with Connecticut Against Gun Violence. And Carolyn, I have to share with you that our conversation reinforced an essential truth. Progress is not linear. Sometimes we must take a step back, reorganize, and realign before propelling forward. So thank you for your leadership and commitment to the Fairfield County community and to Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And lastly, to each of you who registered, reposted, forwarded information, forwarded the invitations, answered the call, and made the intentional choice to be here today, I feel your support. Your time is valuable, and I hope that you will find our time together both enriching and empowering. So this is not just a keynote speech, it's a conversation. And I encourage you to be an active participant by engaging with me and others in the chat. So throughout this talk, I will post reflection questions and I invite you to share your thoughts. So let's do a little warm-up exercise. So in one word, how are you showing up today? Just drop your responses in the chat. I won't be able to see them, but I'm going to be scrolling back through them and I'll be able to see them on the recording. So please share how you are showing up today. Oh, actually, I think I probably can. Oh, there we go. I figured it out. So curious, blessed, open-minded, hopeful, excited, engaged, relaxed. Awesome. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Your responses will help shape this experience because your voice matters in this space. So in preparation for our time together, I wanted to better familiarize myself with the mission and value of Habitat for Humanity, and Carolyn quite eloquently shared that with us this afternoon. But I'd also like to add that Habitat for Humanity at large exists to put God's love into action by bringing people together to build homes, communities, and hope. The words that resonated deeply with me from this mission statement are love into action and build homes, community, and hope. Love is a verb. Build is a verb. And when we combine these words, we capture the very essence of what it means to be a woman. We build love, and we love to build. And it is through hope that we build love in our homes and in our communities. Today, I've been invited to lead a discussion on leadership, empowerment, and resilience. And if you know me, you know I love a good metaphor and to tell a good story. Metaphors drive home concepts, and stories help to crystallize lessons and help us laugh at life's twists and turns. But don't worry, I'll leave plenty of time for us to engage in a meaningful dialogue because again, every voice in this room matters. So as I reflected on how best to frame my journey in leadership, I kept returning to two words from Habitat's mission: build and love. And so I invite you to pull up a chair as I share with you what it means to build your own table. Women's History Month is a time to pause and recognize the incredible accomplishments of the women who came before us. to celebrate the women leading today and to highlight the contributions of those shaping the future. Throughout history, women have built their own tables, blazing trails and setting examples for others to follow. These women include Sandra Miller, Madam C.J. Walker, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Amelia Earhart, Carolyn Vermont, Rosa Parks, Maya Angelou, Jean White, Michelle Obama, Jane Elliott, Sonia Sotomayor, Frida Kahlo, Anne Clark, Bessie Coleman, Malala Yousafzai, Greta Thunberg, Deborah Glasper, Amanda Gorman, Zora Neale Hurston, Indira Gandhi, Kamala Harris, and Shiloh Miller. These women have transformed societies, themselves, their families, organizations, and their communities. But let me be clear, building your own table looks different for everyone. For some, it means creating a home for their family. Others lead revolutionary movements. Some break barriers in male-dominated industries. Others turn their passions into entrepreneurial ventures. Many are leading successful organizations and institutions, and some are literally building their own homes. Women are leaders in their homes, their organizations, and their communities. So, who is a woman in your life who has built her own table? Give her a shout out in the chat. Now, my cognizance of leadership has evolved as I've observed leaders and ascertained information about various leadership models and concepts. I have worked with leaders who were enamored with titles or positions. I have partnered with those who are dedicated to service, impact, and creating opportunities for others. And most recently, I have been introduced to those who approach leadership through a human-centered lens, putting people over outcomes, recognizing that without investing in people, outcomes are a futile exercise that lead to a toxic workplace culture, employee disengagement, and poor employee retention. As we explore what it means to build your own table, I want to introduce 5 practices of exemplary leadership that have shaped my own journey. These were developed by James Coos and Barry Posner, and these 5 principles are the blueprint of how I lead, how I innovate, and how I create space for others. Modeling the way. Leadership starts with demonstrating the values that you expect from others. Inspire a shared vision. Leaders paint a vision of a future that others want to be a part of. Challenge the process. Growth happens when we step outside of our comfort zones. Enabling others to act. True leadership is about lifting others up and creating opportunities for them to grow. Encourage the heart. Leadership requires connection, compassion, and celebration. People will go the extra mile when they feel seen, valued, and appreciated. Now, these practices just aren't theories, they're building blocks for creating impact, and they're embedded in every aspect of my journey, from my upbringing to my career in education and leadership. So, which of these leadership practices resonate with you most? Drop a word in the chat that speaks to your leadership style. So when I think about my leadership journey, it begins at my family's kitchen table. No matter which city or state we lived in, the kitchen table was the heart of our household. It was where my parents demonstrated how to love day in and day out. As the eldest of four with three younger brothers, I watched my parents build a home of unwavering support. My mother's presence and my father's dedication, these shaped my deep commitment to every community and organization that I've joined. My mother was our rock. She was always present, seeing us off in the morning, picking us up from school, ensuring that we had everything we needed. Her consistency, love, and ability to create stability amid change was a masterclass in modeling the way, showing me that leadership begins with the values we live by every single day. Although my father's career required him to travel during the week, he was home every weekend. He was either coaching, present at our games, or helping my mother shuttle my brothers and me between soccer fields, basketball courts, or scouting events. His work moved us across 4 states in 6 years. Yet through his actions, he demonstrated inspiring a shared vision, teaching us that dedication, consistency, and sacrifice are the foundations upon which success is built. His presence, even in his absence, was profound. He didn't just tell us about discipline and dedication, he modeled it. He showed us that leadership isn't about always being physically present, but about making your presence felt through unwavering commitment. So think about a mentor or family member who modeled leadership for you. What did they teach you? So my professional path has not been traditional, but every step has been intentional. As Carolyn mentioned, I did begin my career in education as the front desk receptionist at a small independent school. There, I witnessed firsthand the profound influence of an institution's culture on the student and employee experience. This experience introduced me to challenging the process. It reinforced the idea that leadership is about pushing boundaries and continuously improving systems. And after 11 years, I made the difficult decision to leave. I left a community where I grew up from receptionist to director of diversity to build a new table in higher education. But I wasn't hired as a full-time employee. I was a temporary worker. I was brought in through a staffing agency as an executive assistant. And on my first day, I stepped out of an elevator and landed, quite literally, at the feet of my new supervisor. After finding myself on the ground, I popped up with a huge grin on my face. And my supervisor looked at me and said, "Well, you are going to fit in quite nicely here." I may have stumbled into this opportunity, but I refuse to let that stumble define me. As an executive assistant, I supported the executive vice president, provost, and chief financial officer, working closely with the president's senior leadership team. And in this role, I had a front row seat to decision-making at the highest level of the institution. I observed strategic planning, crisis management, and the intricacies of leading a complex organization. I took a leap of faith, working closely with senior leadership, observing strategic risk-taking and disruptive innovation. And as Carolyn mentioned, I went and I pursued my master's degree and moved from the executive suite to student affairs to gain a holistic understanding of the student experience and to build relationships across the institution. Now, before I moved into my new office, I looked at my colleagues in the C-suite and I said, "I'll be back." And in 2022, I was back, but not as a temporary employee or as an executive assistant, but as the associate dean responsible for leading institutional change. Now, let me be clear. This journey has tested my faith. I've questioned my worth and value and wondered whether or not I truly belonged. However, it is because of the shoulders upon which I stand. I have learned how to persevere and stay resilient despite the obstacles and barriers I encountered along my journey. So have you ever faced a challenge that made you question your path? What helped push you forward? Drop a response in the chat. I've embraced my leadership journey as unconventional as it was and continues to be. I learned that life is like an arrow. In order to fly forward, oftentimes we first have to take a step back. I have learned that in leadership, by serving others and putting people first, the profits and outcomes are destined to follow because you will have gained a better perspective for what the people need instead of what the leader wants. And by investing in the culture environment first, you will create the foundation and setting where everyone will thrive and commit to the mission and goals because they will see themselves represented and reflected across the table. The reality is there are still places and spaces where women, especially women of color, are underrepresented. We are in a time where aspects of the female experience are being erased and the experiences of people of color are being sanitized to maintain the comfort of others. But the time is now. We have the knowledge, the history, and the wisdom of those who came before us. And so in our final reflection, what step will you take to build your own table? But here's the truth. We don't need permission to lead. Today is a call to action. If the door is closed, open the window. If the invitation never comes, plan your own party. And lastly, if you aren't being invited to the table, build your own. Thank you.
Wow. This was great, really great. So passionate. And typically, I ask our audience to put any questions or comments in the chat, but this has just been so inspirational and so deep that I'm just going to open it for anyone that have a question or a comment for Dr. Miller.
If I might,
Mhm.
I'm her dad, and this is her mom. Wow, sweetheart. Forgive me for a moment, just to gloat and be so proud of our daughter who has done such a remarkable job with such strength and character. We adore her. I just wanted to mention, and when you said we must never forsake who we are, just for the simple comfort of others, I'm going to use that, and I thank you. Because who you are, Dr. Nicole Miller, is more than your mom and I could ever imagine. And you have done it well. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So Megan, I like what you wrote. Nikki is such an inspiration that I asked her to be my mentor like 45 seconds after meeting her. I have good instincts, clearly. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Oh, Megan.
Megan? Did we lose her?
I wonder if she might be at work or unable to mute. Oh, she's in the chat.
Probably. All right. Anyone else? Any questions for Dr. Miller or comments?
I see Kristen Harris's hand up. Hi, Kristen.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Kristen.
Um, so I so let me say I've known I knew Nicole, and thank God for the internet, because you leave a state, you leave somebody that you knew, and then all of a sudden LinkedIn tells you that they're speaking, and I had the time, so I joined. And I came because I needed this message, number one. Somehow, I work for New York City Public Schools, and somehow my schedule was open at this time. So I took it as a sign that I needed to hear a message, and so true it was. And I want to take a moment to give you flowers, because I knew the Nikki that started to work at that independent school, and that's where we met.
Yes, we did.
As undergraduates, and you were just inspiring. You were just as inspiring then. So you have been this person, you have been this change agent, you have been this messenger, this inspirer, this message deliverer, to the people who have needed it for a really long time. And yes, the accolades are amazing, and I'm so proud to know you. But you also need to know that you did all of those things for me 20 some odd, years ago, when we were young people that thought we knew everything. And
Yes, we
now
were.
I'm an old person that doesn't know anything. And I'm clear about all the nothing I know. But I'm inspired and encouraged, and just wanted you to get some flowers, because you have been this person, you have been this giant for a lot of people for a long time. And
Thank
it
you.
was great to see you. And hopefully we can find some time to connect later. But um, yeah, you've been that chick for a long time. And so this is really exciting to see.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. I appreciate
Thank-
that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I did see a question in the chat. Carolyn, would
Mhm.
you like for me to read it? It's from Charmaine Johnson Cohen.
One more thing, and then we'll get to Tanisha after, but go ahead.
Awesome. She asks, can you offer suggestions to position ourselves as strategic partners or leaders in our settings? Yeah. I believe that relationships can change the world. I make it a point to say hello to everybody that I come across, because I realize that you might be the only person who actually sees someone on that day. You might be the only person that actually acknowledges that other person's existence. And so I encourage you to build relationships, not just up, but build relationships across, and build relationships with those people who otherwise would think that they don't matter. Because you'll find out that in your time of need, sometimes you can't look up, or you can't look side to side. Sometimes it's the people who are cleaning the restrooms. Sometimes it's the people who are making your food, are those who you can really lean on. And so I believe that strategic partnership begins with seeing everyone, regardless of their position, and regardless of where they are in their journey. It's really important to make sure that everyone knows that they matter.
All right, thank you. Tanisha?
Hi, Carolyn. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, because anything that you do, I support. You're always positive and you always support me. Um, sometimes there's some things you never knew you needed until you entered the room. So thank you for this. Dr. Miller, your words, your story was so encouraging to me, because as an African American woman, I've always felt if I may say, purposely left from an invitations to other people's table.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was something with me. And I was like, God, well, why me? This person got invited, but not me. But thank you for that, because I can create my own table. If the door closed, there is a window to open. And I never looked at it that way, but that was so encouraging for me today. And the fact that your mom and dad are supporting you, that was just so encouraging as well. The support, I guess, I loved what your dad said. It was amazing. So thank you for that, because that's a nugget I can take with me today, to not feel excluded or like something's wrong with me or I'm not good enough, but create my own table and open the window when the door is closed. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Tanisha. It's a situation that we often find ourselves in, and we feel like that we're alone in that. And I've felt like that. I felt alone a lot of times, right? And it is important to know that it's not about you. But we do have to recognize that we have a voice and that sometimes we have to speak up. And when we speak up, situations and opportunities arise. So I encourage you to find your voice, challenge the process, knock on that door. And again, if it doesn't open, then find the window and climb through it.
I like that. And Dr. Miller, you have a question in the chat from Dr. Makla Khan.
Oh, nice. What key qualities or strategies have helped you navigate these challenges while maintaining trust and engagement within your team? I would say having partners that I knew that I could be vulnerable with. Like I mentioned before, my relationships have gotten me through some really dark times. And two people on the call today, Jean White and Ann Clark, helped me get through some difficult times when I was working in student affairs. And I knew that I could lean on them. But you have to be vulnerable to be able to reach out and ask for help. I think that's the hardest part for many leaders, because we don't want to appear or to give off the perception that we don't know or that we're not strong enough. It is incredibly difficult to be a leader because so many people are either supporting you or are hoping for your downfall. And so we have to make sure that we have people alongside us that when we feel like we're going to break, that we can lean on them to help them lift us up. Another strategy that I would definitely encourage is to stay connected to whatever your subject matter is. It's really important to stay on top of the newest information that's coming out, because you can always have your voice heard when you can add nuggets of wisdom that folks don't know about. And I think that that's something that I found that was particularly helpful for me. As the landscape of diversity, equity, inclusion has changed since I first started in this work in '97. When I started in it, it was multicultural education. And now it's JEDI or IDEA or DEIB, DEIJ. And so because it's different iterations, I was always able to offer something new to the table. Or new at the table. And so those are the things that I would definitely recommend. Find those folks that you can be vulnerable with, and then always make sure that you are at the cutting edge and that you know what are the newest practices that are coming down within your subject matter.
Okay, thanks for that. And in the chat, here's another one from Simone Morris.
Hi, Simone. How has your doctorate helped you with continuing to maintain your table? Oh, this is a great question. So the focus of my dissertation work was really about identifying the elements of cultural competence. And I was, I worked on my doctorate. I started in 2019 and I defended a year ago, actually this month. What's interesting is when I chose to focus on cultural competence, I didn't know that DEI was going to be vilified. However, I did realize that this work is constantly iterative. And so I wanted to make sure that I was able to apply my work in a variety of different contexts. So I wanted to be able to not only focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, but I wanted to focus on a transferable skill, and cultural competence is seen across many industries as a transferable skill. How do you really relate to people who are unlike you, who you may not share the same culture, the same traditions with? And so I believe that it is because of my doctoral work and because of its flexibility and its fluidity that my work can be applied within a higher ed setting. My work can be applied within the workplace. You can use the model that I created to create job descriptions. If you're looking for a wide array of candidates with different lived experiences, you can use the process in the model to do that. You can use the process in the model to review job descriptions to make sure that you are getting the best candidate. And so I definitely believe that it was not only the focus, but then also the skills that I learned throughout my doctorate. Learning how to develop a strong research plan, how to develop a strong and reliable and valid survey, learning how to analyze not only quantitative data, but qualitative data, and then be able to distill it down into themes, which then distilled it down into my results. Running a research team was something else that I learned. So there were many transferable skills that I learned through that arduous, and I'm still have a lot of trauma when it comes to getting the doctorate, because it is truly like birthing a child. You're creating something out of nothing. And it was probably the most difficult thing I'd ever pursued in my life.
Thank you for that. And I have another question in the chat from Megan.
Oh, hi, Megan. How do you balance all of your passions, in particular, all of the relationships that I cultivate in my personal and my professional life? I have to tell you, Megan is another family member, and so I appreciate her so much, and she's so wonderful. It's been such a joy. How do I balance all of my passions? I was actually talking to a friend and colleague earlier about how do I get all of this done? And it truly is because God gives me the strength to do it. My faith is how I get through the day. There are so many different things that I am involved in that were not mentioned. And sometimes I don't always understand or know how I get it done, but I just do it. And I think as a mother, as an educator, as a woman, as a professional, you just put your head down and you do it. All of the relationships that I've been able to cultivate, I do that because I love people. I try really hard to always make sure that, like I said, I say hello to people, that I approach people with warmth and kindness. And I hold myself accountable when I don't do that. I think that transparency and vulnerability has served me well, because I'm quick to hold myself responsible and hold myself accountable when I'm not able to do something. And so I think it's about that give and take. And I think that's how I've been able to cultivate these relationships. And then moving around a lot, I was always the new girl. So I always had to be the first one to reach out, no matter where I was.
Okay, thank you. So there's another question from Patty.
Oh, so how do we find the model that I'm mentioning? Sure. So my dissertation is available online. If you Google just my name, Dr. Nicole R. Miller, the title of my dissertation was Knowledge, Skills, Awareness and Attitudes, and Action Research Study, Searching for the Elements of Cultural Competence. I'm more than willing to, drop I can't get to the link right now, but I'm more than willing to provide the link to Carolyn to my dissertation. and even my presentation is actually on my LinkedIn page. My dissertation presentation is on my LinkedIn page. And so if you'd like to see it there, the actual rubric, I will admit that I intentionally redacted because the rubric in and of itself is not a cut and paste. It's the process, because every organization requires something a little bit different. And so it's about making sure that you take a team or an organization through the process to build the customized rubric that's needed for your organization or for the project or for the course or whatever it is that you would like to apply it to. But I'm more than willing to walk you through that process. Please let me know.
All right, thank you for that. So we do have a few more minutes. If anyone have a question or comment, you don't have to put it in the chat. Feel free to, sorry
Hi,
about
Nicole,
that.
this is Sherry. I
Hi,
just wanted
Sherry.
I wanted to make a comment to you, and also in honor sort of your parents. I think that, and it's interesting because we encountered one another professionally, but
Yes.
then sort of just grew in our interaction to be sort of at the table around meals. But I wanted to just say to you that I so appreciate, as a professional and also just as a human being, you show up as your whole self and you are authentic in your interactions. And I'm so glad you're that person who says hello to everyone. Sort of the elevator, I think, is where we actually extended from a conference room, professional colleague table, to then having that conversation by the elevator, to then extend into what's developing into my renewed faith and having new friends as adults.
Thank you.
So I appreciated this talk around just, creating your own table. And thank you for inviting me to your table, because I don't think there's any space that you and I have ever shared in that had not been a both professional and personal growth experience. So thank you for that. And thank you to your parents for just all that they've instilled, because your legacy is absolutely everyone you interface with. You see it, and having been one benefiting from that. So thank you so much for today and for, our friendship to come.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much. I so
So,
appreciate it.
I'm sorry. So Jennifer, I see your hands up. So Jennifer and then Michelle.
Oh, thank you. So, Dr. Miller, just want to really thank you so much for this inspirational talk, and to thank my little sister for inviting me to this. But I also want to give your parents a huge shout out for just to be here and to listen to you and to be so proud and sharing you with all of us. And so thank you, Mom and Dad, for producing this phenomenal woman. But I have a quick question for you,
course.
Dr. Miller. How do you facilitate brave and restorative conversations across differences?
Yes, yes. Sometimes it is hard, right? So one thing that I didn't really get into my talk was because of where we lived when we moved. I grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods. I grew up and attended predominantly white schools where I was literally the only person, in the mid 80s in my classroom. I was one of maybe 20 kids of color in a high school. And so I do another talk that's called "That I Didn't Know That I Was Black Until I Was 17." And a lot of that is because during my racial identity development, my goal was to be like my friends around me, which is how I got into soccer. And so when people think about, white folks who have that one Black friend, I was that one Black friend for many of my colleagues. And so, or I should say many of my high school friends. And so for me, engaging with white folks around these topics, I recognize that more often than not, it's not malicious when they ask certain questions, or when they come to the table not knowing, because I grew up in that environment and there's a lack of exposure. I tend to offer a bit more grace than many of my counterparts feel like I should. But I also recognize the fact that without a diverse group and a diverse representation around the table to undo this 400 to 600-year-old knot that we're finding ourselves in. I can't do it in isolation. You can't do it in isolation. We need everyone at the table to be able to help untangle this unfortunate web, right? I do challenge, though, my white counterparts, in particular in where we are in the situation we are in today. They have sat in hundreds of hours of trainings, being in the training, saying that they want to take part, recognizing the fact that they know that they need to do something. So I challenge my white counterparts. This is your final exam. DE&I is being vilified, it's being dismantled. And so this is when you need to engage those skills that you learned. This is when you have to walk your talk. Because if we're not allowed to do this work, someone needs to continue it. And so this is their final exam. So I need you to step up. I need you to do the work. I need you to make your voices heard when you don't have a diverse slate of candidates within a hiring phase. You need to step up and mentor someone who doesn't look like you in order to get them to the next level. And so, I've relied on my personal experience working with majority culture, but then at the same time, I also hold them accountable because they sat in those trainings for a reason. And although the work may go away, the knowledge that they earned is still present. And so I ask them to use it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Hello, Dr. Miller. This was
Hi, Michelle.
fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. And I just wanted to thank you for your positivity, your honesty, your continued work in this space. I know, you know how I feel about women supporting women. So I think this is really important. I do have a question. You've touched on it a little bit. I mean, it feels like women are under attack. It feels, women are under attack. People of color are under attack. It can feel overwhelming. What piece of this can we, work on first? How do we? It's so massive what's happening. The dismantling of all of the great work that many of us have worked on. So, just wanted to know your thoughts there. Like, how can one of us, each of us, kind of look at this and figure out how we can, address anything versus being overwhelmed by the massive dismantling of what's going on. So thank you again. What a great presentation.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Campbell. I have to tell you, Michelle is one of my colleagues from Northeastern, so I appreciate you being here today. And she's very recently defended her dissertation work, so congratulations to Michelle. I think there's a couple of things that we can do, right? I think it definitely first starts with self, right? We have to check and recognize our own biases. I have pushed and talked about this, not necessarily publicly, so this is the first time I'm going to talk about it publicly. I believe that each one of us have our own biases that we refuse to acknowledge, and we often will look at the system as a scapegoat instead of doing the work that we need to do, right? I think that the community of color needs to do a better job of addressing our own issues within our community. I think white folks need to do some work within themselves, right, to be able to do that. And so I think we first start with ourselves, and then we start with our most immediate circle of influence. So that means that we are leaning in and leaning on and challenging our colleagues, our peers, our family members. And again, it's that same cycle that, and the reason why this work is needed is because the way that it comes into our brains is usually through our most trusted and closest circle. But sometimes those are the folks it's hardest to challenge them because we love them and we know that they don't really mean it. And we know that, you know, they're not really you know, they like everybody, they love everybody, they have gay friends, they have Black friends, right? So we give them a pass. But unfortunately, when we give them a pass, they're walking through the world still behaving in this way. So we have a responsibility to make sure that we are leaning on them with love and letting them know that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your position. And so I would definitely say start with self, check your own biases, recognize when those biases are flaring up for you, and then really challenge the folks in your immediate circle. And it's going to take more than just one time. It's not a one and done. It's never going to be a one and done because we live in the system. And so we have to check ourselves and check the people that we love every day.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. So I know, Dr. Miller, you know, there were a lot of compliments about your parents being here to support. So I just really want to give a shout out to your dad also. I've had the opportunity to work with him over the years. We'll volunteer where we're up in Hartford, working with the legislators there around gun violence, you know, and just teaming up with different organizations in our work to prevent gun violence, which is so prevalent in, you know, the urban communities.
Yeah.
So very thankful for your dad.
Thank you,
'cause he-
Carolyn.
You're welcome.
We are so proud of Nicole. You know, we've been very blessed with our children and been able to pass on businesses and things to our kids. And Nicole has gone way beyond what we've been able to provide, and that's all her. She's always been a force. Some of it good, but that those teenage years were when she was finding who she was, and she did, and her strength has always been there. So all we do is try to put a couple little borders around and say, please don't go this far. But what a woman she is, and who you see and who you hear is who she is. So we're honored to be here.
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right. So thank you both, you know, Mom and Dad. So we're getting ready to close out. I want to thank you all for being here today to hear Dr. Miller. Thank my board members for Habitat for being here, Kyle Oden, Beth Rafferty, Dr. Makela Khan, Reverend Dr. James Logan, and you know, with Habitat and Dr. Miller, you talked about Habitat there in the beginning. You know, our Habitat International mission is seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. And that's who we are. And, you know, that really is what guides us in the work that we do. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, as you see the comments, it's just great. And everyone that's here today, you'll get a link. I know some people had to drop off, some people came on late, but you'll get a link to today's presentation. So you'll be able to, you know, enjoy it thoroughly and, you know, see these wonderful comments. Just all great. I see one from Reverend Marjo, and that's the only one I'm going to read, where she says, thank you for that grace, because as a white person, I had no idea that I was even living in a society controlled by white supremacy until 6 years ago. I thank God for opening my eyes and setting me on this journey towards racial justice. And there's so many other comments. But before I have Reverend Dr. James Logan close us out, I'm going to ask our communications director, Josue, to take a picture of us. So those who are off camera, if you're willing to come on camera, you know, just for about 60 seconds, and, you know, everybody give your best smile, and Josue will be taking a picture of us.
Yeah.
All right. I think this may be most of us, if not all of us. But before I do take the picture, I do want to say, Dr. Miller, that this has been my favorite presentation of all the
Oh,
presentations that we've held. Very inspiring. Love your parents. Wonderful, wonderful.
thank
All right. So let's see. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Josue. And, Dr. Miller, I just can't thank you enough. Wow. Wow. This was just amazing. And to see all the comments, there's so many people who said I needed this today. Great conversation. So I just can't thank you enough. And so at this time, I would like to have Reverend Dr. James Logan from our board of directors. And if you'll close us out in prayer.
Sure, and good afternoon again. Thank you, Carolyn. Again, you hit another home run. And I want to also thank you, Dr. Miller, again, as everyone has shared and expressed what's been on my heart as well. You truly had my first time encountering you, but I can tell you are your authentic self. So that being said, let's have a word of prayer. Oh God, we're grateful again for this beautiful day you've given us. In the midst of all things, you're still God and you're still on the throne. We're grateful, Father, for love. We're grateful for the ability you've given us to build and to encourage others. We are grateful also for this Women's History Month, for all year round, but in particular this month in which we recognize women, and we pray for women all around the globe that you will encourage them, inspire them, even from being a child, that they will continue to grow up and fulfill all that you have set aside for them. But in particular for this session today, oh God, we're grateful for the vision you've given our CEO, Carolyn Vermont, for this series. We thank you for Dr. Miller. We lift her up before you, praying for her continued faith and family, for her community, for her journey. Thank you for the impact that she has made in the lives of countless others. We thank you, Father, for allowing us to hear about her career, about her journey. And I ask that you would also provide her with continuous healing from attacks that may have attempted to stop her from building her own table. But we know that you're with her, and we lift up her parents as well, that you'll continue to remind them that their work was not in vain and that they have invested into their family, their children, and they can continue to walk in knowing that they have fulfilled all that you have given them to. And so all of us that are participating now, those that will review this later on, we pray that you'll use this to be an inspiration for each of us to fulfill our own destiny. This is our prayer that we offer unto you in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Logan, thank you so much. Okay, so again, thank you all. Enjoy the rest of the day. I know some of you are on your lunch break and you're going to get back to work. But this has just been great, and I so appreciate all of you joining us. So enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.